"Come to the edge," he said. They said, "We are afraid." "Come to the edge," he said. They came. He pushed them, and they flew. All the successful people I know have been willing to take a chance, a leap of faith. Even though they were afraid, sometimes they were terrified, but they knew that if they didn't act, the opportunity would pass them by. They trusted their intuition and simply went for it. Remember, progress always involves risk. You can't steal second base if you've still got your foot on first. Mike Kelly lives in paradise and owns several companies under the umbrella of Beach Activities Maui. With only a year of college under his belt, he never really did return to get his degree. Mike left Las Vegas at the age of 19 for the islands of Hawaii. He ended up selling suntan lotion by the pool at the hotel. From these humble beginnings, Mike went on to create a company with 175 employees and over $5 million annual turnover in revenues. And he provides catamarans and scuba diving excursions for tourists, plus concierge services and business centres for many of the island's hotels. Mike credits much of his success as being willing to take a leap when needed. When Beach Activities in Maui was attempting to expand its business, there was an important hotel whose business he wanted, but a competitor he had held a contract for over 15 years in that hotel. To maintain the competitive edge, Mike always reads the trade journals and keeps an ear to the ground in what's happening in business. One day he read that his hotel was changing general managers, and the new general manager, who would be coming to and lived in Copper Mountain in Colorado. This got Mike into thinking. Because it's so hard to get through all of the gatekeepers to secure the meeting with a general manager, this is when you phone up and you get all the excuses of the day and people wanting to put you off and put you off. Good morning, Perry. He tried to contact him before, but he'd actually moved to Hawaii. Mike wrestled with what would be the best way to contact him. Should he write a letter? Should he call him on the phone? As he pondered all these options, his friend Doug suggested, "Why don't you just hop on a plane and go and see him?" Always want to take action and take it now, Mike quickly put together a proposal, and hopped on a plane the next night. After flying all night, he arrived in Colorado, rented a car, drove 2 hours to Copper Mountain, showed up unannounced at the general manager's office. Wow. That's making it happen, not watching it happen. Mike explained who he was, congratulated the general manager on his new promotion, told him he looked forward to having him in Maui, and asked a few moments to tell him about his beach activities and what he could do for his hotel. Mike didn't get the contract for the first meeting, but the fact that the young kid was so confident in himself, in his business, to take the leap of faith, jump on a plane and fly all the way to Denver, then drive out to the middle of Colorado, and the off chance that he'd be able to meet in person, left such an impression on that general manager that when he finally did get to Hawaii, he awarded Mike the contract, which was worth hundreds of thousands of dollars to Mike's bottom line over the ensuing 15 years. So that taking that leap of faith could ultimately transform your life. Remember, authority is 20% given and 80% taken. So just take it. Don't wait for somebody to give it to you. I've often seen the experiment where people will stand up at a speaker and say, "Who wants this £20 note?" And everybody will put up their hand. But some people, very few, will jump out of their chair and take the £20 note. That is a fundamental difference between the person that does and the person that watches. You decide which one you want to be. So multimillionaire Dr. John Demartini is a resounding success by anyone's standards. He owns several homes in Australia. He spent over 60 days a year for several years circumnavigating the globe with his wife in their $3 million luxury apartment on board a $550 million ocean liner World of Sea, a residence he purchased after selling their Trump Tower apartment in New York City. The author of 54 training programs and 13 books, are a featured teacher in the movie The Secret. If you have not watched The Secret, where have you been? You need to watch The Secret. It'll change your life if you implement these thoughts and processes that they talk about. John spent the year travelling around the world speaking and conducting his courses on financial success and life mastery. But John didn't start out rich and successful. At the age of 7, he was found to have a learning disability and was told he would never read and write or communicate normally with anyone else. Hey, who does? Often people think that about me. At 14, he dropped out of school, left his Texas home and headed for Californian coast. By 17, he ended up in Hawaii, surfing the waves on his famed North Shore, where he almost died from strychnine poisoning. Wow. His road to recovery led him to Dr. Paul Bragg, a 93-year-old man who changed John's life by giving him one of the simple affirmations to repeat. I am a genius and I apply my wisdom. I am a genius and I apply my wisdom. Inspired by Dr. John, he went to college, earned his bachelor's degree in the University of Houston, and later earned his doctoral degree from the Texas Chiropractor College. When he opened his first chiropractor office in Houston, John started with just 970 square feet of space. Within 9 months, he had more than doubled, and that he was offering free classes on healthy living. When attendance grew, John was ready to expand again. It was then that he took the leap and changed his career forever. It was Monday. John said the shoe store next door had vacated over the weekend. What a perfect lecture hall for him. John thought as quickly, so he phoned the leasing company. No one called him back. John concluded they were going to rent the space soon, so he took the leap of faith. He called a locksmith to come out and open up the place. John said, I thought the worst thing that could happen is he would charge me rent. He quickly transformed the space into a lecture hall and within days was holding free talks on a nightly basis. Because the space was located right next to the movie theatre, he added a loudspeaker so moviegoers could hear his lectures as they walked to their cars. Hundreds began to attend the classes and eventually became patients. John's practice grew rapidly. Nearly 6 months went by before the property manager came to investigate what was going on. You've got a lot of courage, the manager said. You remind me of me. In fact, he was so impressed with John's daring, he even gave John 6 months rent-free. Anybody that has the courage to do what you did deserves it, he told him. The manager later invited John down to his office, where he offered him $250,000 a year to come and work for him. Wow. John turned it down because he had other plans, but it was huge validation of his courage to act. Taking a leap helped John build a thriving practice, which later he sold to begin consulting full-time with other chiropractors. Taking the leap opened the doorway for me, John said. If I'd held back, if I'd been cautious, I wouldn't have made the breakthrough that gave me the life I'm living today. Wow. And I'll see